Ah! Oh my god, I thought I burned another corset. We're good. I gotta stop lighting candles for ambiance. I had 2,000,000 spooky crafts planned out for us, but something amazing happened. I got tickets to Sabrina Carpenter's concert, the short and sweet tour. So everything else has to be thrown aside. We don't have time. The concert is October 19th and it is September something. What is it today? It's September 15th. And I have to start my projects early. Last time I did a project, my spooky ghost dress, that ended up taking me a month to do and film because I got sick. And at this moment in time, I'm also feel myself getting re-sick with the diverticulitis.
I'm okay.
All the Halloween projects have been pushed to the side. Maybe I'll get to them, maybe I won't. Right now, everything is Sabrina Carpenter. I am going to be making one of her signature heart cutout outfits. You've seen them in pink, yellow, blue, and even black. The yellow and the blue right now, I'm not really sure, so I'm gonna put a poll on Instagram to ask people what they think I should do. And for day one, we're just gonna work on making the mock-up. I cut out a bodysuit pattern from a free pattern from Arania Black, and I'm gonna be using a sheet and a dress from Goodwill to mock it up to make it fit me really well because I want this to look like professional. I wanna be Sabrina.
Well,
I'm so excited and I hope this comes out well because I'm actually really nervous about doing this project. So fingers crossed because I really want to wear this and feel amazing on this concert night. I'm so excited for this concert. I can't believe I'm getting to go and let's get started. I have my mock-up bed sheet. I've made so much out of this dang bed sheet. It is doing me well. This is the one that had a little blood on it. If you know, you know. We're gonna iron this out. I'm gonna place the pattern pieces on it and I'm gonna cut that out so I can make my first mock-up and do the alterations to that. So that's what we're gonna do now.
Turn that racket down. I'm trying to iron here.
Okay, I pinned everything so that it won't move and now it's time to cut. Okay, so the mock-up bodysuit is sewn. I'm gonna try it on and see if some adjustments need to be. I completely scratched the bodysuit.
My God, why?
I decided to do a custom duct tape corset, which I've now sewn to the pattern. And I've just began to just tweak where I need to tweak the pattern and stuff. I thought this was a better idea because I'm actually gonna make this like a canvas pattern that I can use for a base for a lot of dresses and stuff when I really want like the structure to fit me just because I'm not a regular pattern size. So I just did a little mock-up of this. I'm gonna readjust this, recut out a new pattern, and then use that to make the green mock-up that we have going, and then we can finally get to work on this dang costume.
hi, Sabrina Carpenter, genius. You tell me, I ask myself every day.
You will need pattern, muslin fabric, your liner fabric, your satin for the outer shell, jersey fabric, scissors, fabric weights, tailor chalk, ruler, pins, boning casing, the grommet tool, and silver grommets. Lay your muslin down and press it nice and flat. Take the pattern you've drawn up and line it down the muslin. You're then going to take your tailor's chalk and outline those. It's just easier if you trace the pattern on with tailor's chalk. At least it is for me anyway. You don't have to worry about the pieces moving. If I teach you one thing, and one thing only in this video, is please label your pattern pieces. I'm always messing mine up. I'm always upside down. Just number them. It's not that hard. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice.
Yes, now it's time for the beautiful fabric. Flip it over and iron it from the back side to protect it.
So the reason my fabric here is placed a little weird is I realized I cut the fabric at the wrong angle and then didn't want to waste that, so I tried to see if I could still fit the pattern with the fabric folded this way, and luckily I could.
She's so pretentious. Shut up.
Make sure you have both good sides of the satin facing together. You do not want to draw chalk on regular satin. You will see me make this mistake later too on the front of my corset, and luckily I was able to fix it.
Here's another bed sheet I ripped off the guest bed to make the lining and didn't show you.
So no one cares.
Now we're gonna iron flat all these seams, and we're gonna have to do that on all the pieces. Now grab heat bond. You can find this at any local craft store, and this is going to help stabilize our satin because it is way too fragile to make into a sturdy corset.
Ah, fragile.
It must be Italian.
So first you're going to want to iron out your cutout pieces, and then you're going to take the canvas piece and lightly iron it on. Avoid getting this stuff on your iron. It's very hard to get off. I still have stuff on there from years ago because I actually never learned how to get it off, so I can't teach you. Trim off all the excess, and that's when you're really going to go over it with an iron again to make sure that stuff is stick, because you're going to peel off the backing. See the stickiness? This is what we're going to use. You can really shape the satin on top of this before you press it down, so try to smooth it out as much as you can before we add the iron to it. Otherwise you're going to be working with a lot of bubbles and it ain't going to be nice. So recently I just went to New York City, and a very well-dressed gay man said I reminded him of Sabrina Carpenter, and I just want you to know that I'm going to be writing off of that comment for the rest of the year.
Don't worry. We'll edit it out, love.
Alright, here's that nasty little bubbling that I was talking about. So
no one, not even your parents, would want to see that.
Your iron to really try and get that as flat as possible. It will take you a few times, but it's definitely worth it. Also, try not to flip it before it cools. Now we're just trimming anything that doesn't line up with the two pattern pieces, because you really want to have that crisp line. I have all the bodice pieces ironed with that Wonder Under on. It's giving them that tautness. Now, using this stuff on my last project, the ghost project, wasn't so great. It was too stiff, but since this is supposed to be a corset, I'm hoping that that works out with the rigidity of this, because the fabric is really delicate. And my goal is to sew the entire bodice together today.
Well,
We are about 2 weeks down to the concert, and I need this done, and I want it to look good. Okay, always line out all your corset pieces just to make sure they're all cut and ironed in the correct way. You don't want to be mid-sewing and find this out. And the best way to line up a corset, I find, is to start sewing from the center seam. So I'm going to start with these two pieces by facing right sides together, and then I just clipped up. There's not that many curves on this, so it was easy for a clip, and then I stitched down the side.
what did I just say?
Okay, that seam went really great with the interfacing, so hopefully the rest of them go just as smoothly and we'll be on our way. I'm gonna say something you neurodivergent crafters might not like, and that's you have to take your time when pinning the curved parts of the corsets. I know, it was a nightmare for me.
Please, no! No! No!
I almost couldn't bear it. This is sped up and cropped out, but I think I spent probably an hour just making sure the curves are pinned into place and we're not bunching. It's so important because that will show through on your corset, and we don't want it wrinkled. We have plenty of time to wrinkle later in our lives.
We had a deal. Let the others grow old, not me.
So I'm sewing a 1/2 inch seam, and I'm using my presser foot to line up where that would be and go down. I find it's best to do a 1/2 inch on a corset so you can really flatten these seams when they are done and trimmed. Take your time trimming along the seams. This is going to make sure all your seams lay really flat when we iron them. So I put in a lot of splits because there are a lot of curves in this bodice. Now let's iron those seams down. A lot of people would use the tailor's ham. I, however, am using the back of my kitchen chairs because, you know, a Burke girl's got to make do somehow. Good morning. Today we are finishing sewing this corset because I don't want to work on it anymore. I can't do anything else. So right now we have all the pieces sewn together. What do we think? What do we think? Yeah! And it's looking pretty good. I'm definitely happy about like doing the fusible interfacing with it. I'm hoping that once I get the boning in here and in these, it'll start to look a lot better. At first, I really regretted doing the mock-up because this took me like a month
Jesus Christ.
just to figure out how to sew the mock-up, but like it looks pretty good. So I'm hoping the blue follows suit with this, although I didn't do interfacing on this one. This is wrinkly and puffy. After I sew it, I'll be devastated. I just want to get to rhinestone. And then I actually got like whale boning or whatever they call it. I got 10 yards of it, but looking at this now, this doesn't look like it's gonna be enough.
It was at this moment that she knew. She fucked up.
Shit. Okay, let's go. All right, please locate your handy dandy ruler. And right now we are measuring about a 1/2 inch down from the top of the corset because we want to make sure our boning does not go past that point. So you're going to do that all along the top of the corset, and then we're going to do the same thing for the bottom. Now I'm just taking the boning casing and I'm lining it up on all the seams. This is a great way to get the boning in the correct spot before you start putting in all the extra boning that we're going to act like we sewed together in seams. We did it. So just to make sure the boning casing is directly over the seam, I like to go from the outside of the seam, take the needle up and pin it back in before we sew them down. It's just going to make sure they're in the absolutely correct placement.
2 hours later.
Ta-da! My boning's measuring just under a 1/2 inch, so I'm going to want to do a 1/4 inch stitch on each side of the center seam. I'm using that little foot marker to line it up, and then going all the way down the corset, and then we're going to repeat that when we flip the corset over and just stitch from bottom to top. Please go slow when you're doing this, otherwise you're going to have a lot of seam ripping. This is very sped up. I'm going slow. I'm also making sure there's no puckering the fabric before I lay a seam on top of it. Okay, we have the seam down the one side. We're going to do it on the other side of the main seam as well. Doing the exact same thing we did before, just lining it up with that line and going all the way down the corset.
We have the initial boning channels on every seam sewn in, so now we're going to put the fake boning channels in these 4 front pallets so that I can hold it up to myself and see how it fits. Measure, and I think we're going to aim for 2 extra boning panels into each one of these.
Oh, makes me want a hot dog real bad.
Now I'm just kind of eyeing where these go, and you're going to want to take, I put 1 pin at the top of where they begin, but then we don't want a bunch of holes in our fabric, so you're going to take these and pin along where you think your first seam is going to go, where you're going to stitch them, so right at the edge of that casing. I have the inner boning channels sewn down. I just kind of eyed them, and we only pin the one side just because it's going to get annoying, and I'm also not pinning them all because I am stabbing the crap out of my hands as it is. They'll stab me more in the machine, so we're just going to start here. We're going to sew down the line of pins that we have, and then from that we're going to do a 1/2 inch out using the foot to guide it. We're also going to be sewing this from the back instead of the front, so make sure your bobbin thread also matches the top thread, which it should already be doing at this point, but just in case you missed it, let's go sew these on. Try to always have your pins facing away, which is why I pinned it up. I knew I was going to be sewing from the corset down, so your pins need to be facing that way, and I'm actually not sewing on the pin. I'm going to be sewing on this because that's kind of where I gauged my spacing. Also, to fit it, roll up the corset side here so that I can tuck through the arm. Once you have the seam down, we're gonna go 1/2 inch, and we're gonna do that by using the presser foot as a measure. Okay, my presser foot 1/2 inch is actually like right at the edge here. If I line my thread up to this and have the outside thread hitting this, that'll be about the 1/2 inch that I need. So that's what I'm gonna use as my guide. So this thread right here, when you put the foot down, needs to be just outside the foot, and that's gonna be our guide so that we're sewing at a 1/2 inch and your machine is set to 0. Times the needles have stabbed me in the thumb, like they're actually I'm getting like pins and needles. Fancy needles. Fancy needles. I look crappy today. Stupid period. Hours and hours and hours of pinning. Where are my scissors? Do you want to get them even though I can get up and I don't want to? Thanks. I pinned down some more burning channels. It's like an hour later. It's not, that's dramatic. It's probably 30 minutes later. Let's go sew these.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Alright, I've got all the boning channels sewn into the front, so now I'm going to measure the boning and put them in. The reason why I haven't done the side or the back boning channels yet is in case the chest is still a little puckery, I can just take in these side seams to pull it in a little more before I do the rest of the boning. So you're going to take the boning, and you do not want to line it top to bottom because we're going to be sewing a hem here and closing a hem here. So to save your own sanity and time, you want to go about a 1/2 inch down, press it all the way to about here, and then I just kind of clip it off. Wow. And then I'm just going to insert it as we go since we are testing this. Oh, these are going to suck to take back out.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Okay, so off camera, I noticed that my neckline was a little too high, so I marked it with chalk. That's a little hard to see, and then same where the heart is. So I'm gonna remove all the boning now, do the boning channel for the other sides and see how big I need to keep it, and then we're gonna cut the heart out and fix the top line of it.
It's so hard being so good at everything.
Now you just take some handy dandy tracing paper, draw half of your heart so that it's perfect or it'll be a little wonky, cut that out and use that to make a more perfect heart on your corset. Also draw an inside outline of the heart. Cut the inside line, not the outside line. The outside line we're gonna sew over and use as our hemline. We did not finish it yesterday. Wanted to hit that goal. It took a lot longer than we thought and I was feeling really sick and fatigued and I just had to call it. But that was about 8 hours of work, so. I sewed around the edge here and we're gonna be trimming this and pushing it back. So we're gonna add the short pieces of boning, 1, 2, 3 here, and then we are gonna sew the lining that I made out of a bed sheet. So it'll be nice and soft on the inside.
I have sensory issues.
So we're gonna press the linings down on this, and then we're gonna go through and painstakingly add some trim to the top, do the boning, do the bottom, do the grommets, and then the corset will be done. And the lace part for the skirt is supposed to come tomorrow, and I don't want to do any embellishing and stuff before that because there is lace embellishment on the dress, so I'm going to be taking that off of the lace that I ordered as well as the skirt. And I am so happy to be almost done. I'm really nervous because the chest part does look a little weird on, like see how it's instead of standing up straight, which I did a mock-up, so I don't know why it's doing that. So I'm just like living on a hope and a prayer because I'm not redoing this. I'm not restarting it. I'm just gonna pull this in until I can't breathe so that it looks like it fits regardless of what happens. I bent so many of my pink pins and I love my pins. Went downtown, I had a coffee, I had a donut, I'm cramping like hell. Let's get this done. Let's get this done. Okay, so that heart right around the outside line, and then you're gonna remark your boning channel lines just because we had trimmed the top of that corset. After marking your cut line for the boning, cut it, and then trim all the sharp corners off. This helps it glide through the casing, and it also prevents it from ripping through your actual finished piece. Now we're adding the lining. Make sure bad sides are facing together because you don't want the seams on your skin. We're not flipping it at this point. Line it along the top and then fold the edges over so you don't have to make a seam. Sew all of that down. I believe I did another 1/2 inch across the entire top, and hopefully you don't hit those 3 pieces of boning. We only put in the small 3 pieces because the heart is already sealed on the bottom. Here, I was doing the correct thing, which is to sew over that outline of the heart again while the lining's in, so you keep the lining in place. And then I stopped doing it and cut the heart out, and it made a lot more problems. So do this step. Don't be like me.
Why did I do that?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Off camera, I had Liam hold the corset against me so I could see the bottom of it. And you also have to make sure you can sit, so sometimes you're gonna have to draw the bottom hip part of the corset higher. Now, truth be told, I still can't sit in this comfortably, but it looks damn good out, so it's so worth it. This is just a good way to make sure your sides are even, and honestly, that was really lucky.
Just lucky, I guess.
I just went for it. I didn't do anything measuring-wise. You should measure, though. Definitely measure. And now I just had to retrim some of the boning for around the heart and make sure you clip all those edges. You can also dip them in rubber or file them, but I was not doing that. I don't expect you to do it either.
Team lazy.
All the boning is in, and that took the 10 yards, the entire 10 yards of boning, and I still don't even have as much boning as she has in her outfit. But right now I'm gonna take an iron to shape the boning a little more. Honestly, I might just do it while it's on me. That's dangerous. Don't do it.
2 seconds later.
Do as I say and not as I do. Great, now that we've safely shaped the boning using a tailor's ham, right? We're now going to attach the bottom of the lining, so line up the pins and sew it along with the 1/2 inch, and hopefully your boning is short. I did have to pull out some of the boning and clip it as you go. It's just what you have to do, and then we're going to trim off any excess from that seam. I can't stop bleeding from this finger. If I get blood on this project, I will literally flip a shit. And now I'm just going to hand stitch this fabric in place before I trim it and glue it back, just so it doesn't like peek through it all. And I'm a little nervous. This heart's not looking hearty. Okay, so what we're going to do is get the needle through some of those, and then we're going to start trimming the hem of the heart in certain spots so we can really bend it back and there's no puckering in there. I was trying to do a lot of this with the needle, and then I gave up and just started using glue, so you should do that too. And I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but never press something down that you just put hot glue on with your finger unless you want to adhere your finger and then rip it off. You know, just speaking from experience, I guess.
Now, if you can, have an assistant and burn his fingers instead. It's much more effective. Trust me.
Okay, you're going to take the rest of your fabric, and right now we need to make a bias tape for the top of the corset, the bottom of the corset, and the ribbons for the backing. So I just measured about 3 inches up from the bottom, and then I cut that out, and then I trimmed off the edges to make sure they were completely even before I took them through the sewing machine.
The entire time I was making this ribbon, I was imagining I was in that scene of Cinderella where I'm working with like all of her mice to make her dress. Now I'm taking the part we put for the lacing of the corset, folding it in half and ironing it down so I can run it through the machine.
We have the top closure, the bottom closure. We're gonna overlock the one side so it doesn't fray, the other one will overlock as we sew it onto the corset. And this is gonna be the ribbon for the back, and we're gonna overlock the whole side and flip it inside out, and that's probably gonna take way too long. Needles on that, why did I do that? Make sure to go over the edges with the interlocking stick before you do this. So all I'm thinking about is that if I had a serger, I would have saved myself an hour of time. I now have to, by hand, trim all the excess off of this ribbon. Leah might need a serger.
Now we're just trimming the raw edge off of the lacing that's going to be for the back of our corset. It's good to put a weight on this so you have some tension with the scissor. Now we're going to take one of those straps we made for the top of the corset and we're going to pin it right sides together. While we do that, look at what I just got. A chopped shoe wrap. Did people know about these, or are they not the coolest thing you've ever seen? Like, you get to protect your little piggies from blisters and you get a cute bow from it. So, I mean, I've been influenced. Also, look at these shoes I fell in love with at Marshall's the other day. Oh my god, this is the first time I'm actually looking back at the picture. Why do my feet look evil in these?
I'm evil. I'll make everybody witches and bats and vampires.
You know what? Maybe it was a sign that I couldn't walk in them. So here we're just marking every 1 inch for the grommet so that we can get this corset done.
3 days later.
Welcome back. I had food poisoning the past few days, so.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
We're still working on the corset, and I don't think I'll be craving Indian food anytime soon. So, corset is done, boning is in. Get your hammer and your tools, and let's make some holes.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
I got this kit that has the one that punches the grommets in. I'm gonna go with silver grommets. Let's hammer stuff. Also, you should have like a cutting board or something under you. I don't have anything to use, so I've been using one of my old painting palettes. It's been working, but we're punching holes out of it. So let's get to hammering. Does that look even? Yep. Nice. Am I scaring you, puppy? It's okay. Definitely put the grommet holes too far back. Too late now. Too late to say goodbye. I'm definitely like at the part of this project where I just like want it to be over. I want it to be over. The lace showed up. The lace is beautiful. Definitely am not making another intense corset for definitely the rest of the year, I think. Are they time consuming? But like, I'm uncomfortable in them most of the time. Like, I don't do them comfy. Holes. Now let's hold the other side. For the painful part, we are going to push these grommets through. Have to make sure the clamp is facing the right way or you're gonna mess it up. And I know that because I do it constantly. Oh, the tendonitis. Oh no, why did it do that?
Why did I do that?
I had it lined up. So I just messed up the first grommet. Shit. There's nothing else I can do other than cry. And I don't want to cry. That one went in perfect. I am going to take a moment of reflection and I will be right back.
Now I laced up the corset in a bunny style lace up pattern. Look up how to do this. This is so you can cinch your corset to yourself.
Now I'm taking some of the scrap lace after doing the skirt and the other lace that I have left over, and we're gonna cut out these flowers kind of like pretty easily and then like stick them onto the corset because I don't want to lose that shine. Why can't I just appreciate that I made something? Why do I have to be upset that it's not perfect? It's so annoying.
Because you're a perfectionist.
I don't like it.
After cutting out the lace pieces, you're going to lay down the lace and trim off the scalloped edge. You're then going to do a straight stitch down that to create a hem, but do not do a reverse stitch. So you can pull one of the loose strings and add a ruffle to it. Just like this, we're going to be using this as the ruffle at the top of our corset. Now we're going to pin that scalloped ruffled edge to the inside of the front of the corset, pin it into place and stitch along the remaining seam. Now using a fabric fusion glue, or I ended up using E6000 because it's what I had on hand, you're going to want to adhere these lace pieces, putting the glue mainly on only the flower parts because I do go back in later and trim off a little more of the lace. Just take your time placing them, really shape it to the bodice and make sure they are on there. You do not want these peeling off because then the costume will look cheap.
She looking a little cute. I always think I'm gonna rush through this and I'm just gonna get it done, and then I do details I don't need to do.
And now here I am showing off the back of my arm while I trim off more mesh from the lace.
It is assembled, the skirt's attached. I didn't really make a video of me making a skirt because I just got so excited when I was doing it that I forgot to film it all. It's really simple, just wrap it around, stitch it here, stitch it, and I'm gonna be hand sewing some snaps on. But we got her all stuffed like a scarecrow, and now we're gonna do rhinestoning, which I've actually never rhinestoned anything in my life.
Don't be dull, be dazzling.
Rhinestone anything in my life. So I have all these clear rhinestones I'm gonna use. I've got a new audiobook ready to go because it's gonna take rhinestones. And I have some blue rhinestones in ones that I usually use for makeup, so I'm gonna add those as well. And then this will be done. The concert is this week, so this is taking a full month of me to do it.
Jesus Christ.
Ugh, we are finally on the rhinestoning. I swear to God, this is the whole reason why I did the project.
Transform blouses, belts, jeans, and boots with studs and stones.
And I ended up rushing through this. But first I did a trail around the heart, and then I did a second one around the heart, and then I started making these lines that go out from the heart so that I could cluster in between them, and it looked a little more organic instead of like a solid block heart line, because I don't like that.
So this is one of the many realities of trying to create art while also having a chronic illness.
She'll never get her dress done.
I hit a really bad fatigue point. I'm sore, I'm achy, I'm really just like not in the headspace to be excited about doing this today, even though like I love this project. So I moved it to the couch. I'm gonna put on like a comfort movie, and I'm just gonna keep trying to push through it, so I might not have that much more footage of me rhinestoning. This is the reality. I can't be active and as up and going as I would like to be every day, but I'm still trying to create, so hopefully I get this done today. That is the goal.
Look at me go. I wonder what I'm thinking about right now.
A single mom. I made $10,000 with my very first bedazzler. In 2 weeks, mind you.
Closing thoughts. I'm pretty happy that I did this. I'm pretty surprised with myself. It looks better than I thought it would.
It's so hard being so good at everything.
And I did have to tape myself in place. It's very sexy and I'm fine with that. I ain't modest at all. And I was gonna sew little panties to go under here, but I'm wearing my blue panties under my Capizio leggings that I've had since like ballet.
Pretty intimidating when you're 5 foot tall and so awesome.
Boots were $30, I think, from Amazon on a sale. I can link them if you want. If you want any of the supplies, I can link it. I can get that for you. I think it's really fantastic. I'm so happy. The lace I got from Amazon, it matched so perfectly.
Perfection.
This is very comfortable, surprisingly. Usually corsets, I feel like I'm gonna die the whole time. I used like faux whale boning, which is like a higher quality one. I spent on it, which is probably why this corset is more comfortable. This took me about a month to make.
Jesus Christ.
Because I had drafted up the bodysuit wasn't good. I drafted up the corset. It was the first time I've ever done my own pattern, so I was pretty proud of that. I'm really happy that I did it.
You did it! Congratulations!
It's great, it's beautiful. I'm gonna be going to the concert. I'm so excited to wear this at the concert. I'm also wearing it out for Halloween. Yeah, I'm happy that I'm on this trip, that I'm actually doing these things. I really hope you enjoyed making this video. I hope it helped you or entertained you. And seeing this or like the work that I do or even just like being a part of my life, click the like and subscribe button so you can follow along. And everyone have a wonderful day. We have the body of the corset made. It seems to be, it's all correct. It's a little puckering in some places, but I'm hoping once I get the boning in, that's gonna stretch that out a bit.